don't even raise your voice. You don't have to raise your voice with the dog because he copies your energy, yeah? And if you start yelling at him, he will start being aggressive because verbal attack is still an attack. So these are the things you have to do, and you're gonna have a recipe for success, and you're gonna have a well-behaved, very cute and funny companion.
Today we are going on a dog farm to receive Chukuro. He's a 2-month-old pug and we're gonna bring him home for the first time.
Kale. Don't bite, please. Are you a good boy? This is his favorite game, of course. So the first thing you have to do is take these things and put them in your hoodie, or you're gonna need one hoodie every day, yeah? Ow, ow. So the first thing you need to do when you get a puppy is to get a crate, especially the first day when you go to get him from the shelter or the place or the shop or whatever. You need to have a crate because it's important, since the first time he's going into the car, have his own space and to get familiar with the space. And also another good tip is to put inside the crate a couple of treats, so he has a positive association the first time he goes inside the crate. Yeah? For me, I went to buy a crate, but it felt like a prison cell to me and I couldn't put myself on buying it, and I got this thing instead. However, it's not safe to move him around the car with this, so I found a better alternative. It's a bag. Especially when you have a puppy, it's super small, you can put him inside a bag if you don't like crates like me. And the bag works wonders. Chukuro likes it a lot to go inside the bag, and we do walks. Because the thing is, if your puppy is younger than 3 months old, like Chukuro is, you have to keep him in the house because there are a couple of diseases that are very dangerous for dogs. One of them is Calazar, and you have to wait until 3 months old to get the vaccination, and after that you can take him out of the house and do walks. So this creates another problem, that's the potty training, when and where the puppy is going to pee and poo. This is why we use these paper sheets. I call them pampers. The best thing is to create a crate inside the house. Usually they put them inside the living room. Something like that. Again, I didn't like this at all because it looks like a prison to me. So there is an alternative. You can get something that's meant for young kids, human kids, babies. And this is what I did. I got this. And I have the door open at all times. So even when I have him outside, he can freely walk inside alone. And it's part of the training as well, to teach him to do that. How you do it is that usually I take all the food that he's gonna eat for the whole day and I put in a special container. And from that portion of the whole day, I use like, whoa, wild dog. So from this whole portion that he's gonna eat for the day, I use like 30% for training, and the rest of it goes in meals throughout the day. So the first training we do is that I keep his playground open, I take him out, we play a little bit, and then I do a gesture, go inside, and I put some treats inside the crate, so he's walking inside. Then I take him out, we play again, and we repeat. We go inside, I put some treats inside, he walks inside to get them. Come here, Bebagi. Around day 3, when I see that he starts associating the movement of the hand and the verbal cue, walk inside, he walks inside first and then I give the treats. And this is a good sign that he learned. You have to check also the breed of the dog. Chukuro is a pug and it's too young as well. You have to take under consideration all these things. So with young puppies, you have to be very patient and try again and again and again and day after day after day. And especially at the beginning, their attention span is gonna be very low. So don't overwhelm them because they will get frustrated and after a couple of minutes, they can't even focus anymore. So about the potty training, I have like 3 rooms that I allow him to walk around them. So in all 3 rooms, I placed a pamper, so he's free every time in any room to go and poo and pee, because the thing is with puppies that their bladder can't hold for too long. When they want to pee, they have to pee. So in the beginning, what you do is that you leave the paper inside his playground and you close him inside. Yeah. When you see him pee or poo on top of the pamper, you have to praise him. You say good boy a lot of times, plenty of times. And also, if you can, give him some treats as well. And also, when you see him do it outside of the paper, I don't like to say no or bad boy or stuff like that. Try to gently grab him when he takes position of pooing or peeing. You grab him gently and you put him on top of the paper. That's all I do. Another good trick is that when he pees once on top of the pamper, you don't replace it and put a new one, because the smell of the pee reminds him that he has to pee there, that this is the place for peeing. So it's good to not often replacing it in the beginning at least. Depends how you feed your dog. Chukuro only eats dry food, so his poop and his pee don't smell that much. The poop, of course, I collect them all the time. I don't leave them in the house because it's a hazard and it's gonna be smelly. But still, yeah, if you give your puppy dry food, even the poo is not gonna smell that much. So you do that and you can check the timings. Like Chukuro usually poops once in the morning after he eats his breakfast, and another time he eats in the afternoon before we go to sleep. So I noticed these timings. Around this time of the day, I leave him in the crate, I close him inside until he pees and until he poops. And only then I take him out. So we avoid accidents this way. You will see that after a couple of days, like even 2 or 3 days, he's gonna start creating a pattern and understanding that he has to pee and poo on the papers. The bad thing is that you have to collect all the carpets, especially on the rooms that you let him inside, because when they see a huge carpet, they feel like this is a huge toilet for them. It reminds them of the pampers, the papers, and they think that they can pee and poo freely on top of the carpet. So remove the carpets, at least on the rooms that you let him inside, yeah? So at this time that I'm recording this video, Chukuro is almost 3 months old. We're gonna do the vaccine next week. And the thing is that he starts biting a lot. Because the puppies, they don't have fingers like us, they have only little paws, so the equivalent of touching you is through the mouth, you see? So he's using his mouth to grab my finger, for instance, or to touch me, or he's licking me in order to show affection. So now that his teeth grow, he wants to bite a lot. And this is the way he communicates. What I do is I tell him, no. Good boy. Good boy, Chukuro. Good boy. Bravo, Shu. Bravo. Good boy. Bravo. The most important mistake that dog owners do is that they always, when a dog does something bad, they always say no. But when they do something good, they never say yes. So the dog gets very annoyed because he feels that 100% of the things he's doing, they are wrong. And you are there like a police officer to point the finger at him. So it's super important that all the times your dog does something good, you praise him a lot, you praise him a lot. So you have a ratio. The praises have to be 70% and the don't and the no's have to be 30%. So even when he grabs his toy and he's playing around, he's doing something good for me because he's occupying himself, he's exercising all alone. I don't have to stop what I'm doing and play with him. Every time I see him playing on his own, I praise him and I say, bravo and good boy, and I give him treats. Even when he goes on his bed all alone and he rests there, I praise him again, of course. Specifically, Chukuro has some energy spikes around 9 o'clock at night, and at this point he becomes very aggressive and he wants a lot of attention. In order to grab my attention, he starts barking at me and biting me. These are two things that I don't want him to do, so since the early beginning, he's very young. Good boy, Chukurito. So I don't want him to be aggressive and I don't want him to bite people. So since the early beginning, I say no to him. At this moment, when he has the energy spike, when I say no, he barks back and he is yelling at me. So the other thing you have to know is that dogs they see your energy and they mirror your energy. So if you start yelling at him, say no, bad dog, no, no, down. A lot of the times I see that he starts yelling back at me. He's barking. So what I do then, because this boy is very food motivated, either I will grab some treats and I will switch his energy from the biting and the playing to training time. And I will stand up and will say sit, and we'll do the sit. So this way I'm changing his mindset from playful and wild and aggressive to obedient. So at some times I don't want to do that because we had a lot of training during the day and I don't want to overwhelm him. So in these moments when he's very aggressive and he bites and he barks at me, we do timeouts. I have puppy-proofed my own room. I don't want to put him on his playground as a timeout because I don't want him to think that the playground is something negative. So all the timeouts, I put him in my room, I close him inside, he starts crying a little bit, so I wait another extra minute when he's calm and then I open the door. Because if you put him for timeout and you open the door and you free him, he will realize that crying works for you and he will start crying all the time, he needs your attention. We don't want to encourage that, so it's important if you do a timeout, you close the door, you let him cry out and then you wait at least an extra minute when he's quiet and calm, and only then you open the door. And this works a lot as well, it works wonders. Of course we have to repeat and repeat and repeat, but as you saw, now I tell him when he starts biting, no, once, and he obeyed. So when I say I puppy-proofed my room, it's super important because for me, I work from home at the moment and I work on the computer all the time and I have a lot of cables because I have a laptop, a monitor, speakers, like charging stations, a camera and all these things. They need a lot of cables. And all the puppies, when they see a cable, they think it's a toy and they start biting them. This is super dangerous because some of these cables have a lot of electricity going through them, and if they bite them, they will get electrified, yeah? So this is very important. I tried in the beginning to teach him and say, no, 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 don't go there, don't go there. But I had to say it like 20 times per day and he still is going there. So now I puppy-proofed it to be sure. But again, once in a while, when I'm with him in the room, I open the gate and I try to teach him again to see how many times he will go there. And when he goes there, I will say no, because I need him to understand at some point that we don't bite cables. So if you teach him that, you'll be free for the rest of your life to don't have to check after him where he is, what is he biting. When you leave the house, you will be able to have him in the whole house free. But first, before you do that, he has to master potty training and no cables biting policy. Yeah, so these two are very important and you have to emphasize them since the early beginning. So a very important decision is what kind of food you're gonna give to your puppy. And I did a huge research and I asked a lot of people that I know. You have to do your own research. For instance, you can't listen my advice and do what I do because first of all, every dog is different, every breed is different, and also the best suggestion I have to give you is walk around your circle of friends and the people that you know and find which ones have the best behaving dogs and the more healthy dogs and ask them, what do you give your dog? What kind of food? How much? And blah blah blah. Because when you go to a pet shop or even to the vet, some of them have deals with brands and they will tell you take this brand or this kind of food and feed him that every day and they get a percentage out of it. So I feel like sometimes you can't even trust doctors about these things. Find people around your circle that have very healthy dogs and well-behaved dogs. This means that the owners know how to raise a dog and ask them what they did and what they give and do your own research. Because I already know a lot of you are gonna ask me in the comments below what I give to Chukuro. I did my own research. I was very close to give him raw food. It's a new trend that you buy raw food. It's a mixture of bones, skin and some meat and they blend it all together they freeze it and they give it to you frozen, and you open it and you give it raw to your dog. You don't cook it at all, you just give it raw. When I did my research, I found a lot of people on YouTube saying that this is the best, and the moment I gave it to my dog, he became more muscular and he has zero issues and stuff like that. However, I went to some other people and asked, and they say never give this to your dog, because whenever you give food to your dog, homemade or whatever, you have to at least boil it, because when it's raw, it might have bacteria, viruses and all these things, and the only way to sterilize it is through temperature. So that's why you boil it and you sterilize it from all the diseases. And this makes a lot of sense to me, so I changed my mind and I said I'm not gonna give him raw, because I don't want to have a bacteria party inside his stomach, right? Pugs specifically, they were raised about 2000 years ago. Chinese emperors started breeding them, and they were lap dogs, which means that they would spend the whole day nearly on the laps of the emperors on the throne, and the emperors would pet them. What does this mean about the pugs? It means that they need human touch a lot. That's why every time he wants to sleep, if I am in the same room, he has to go on top of me and be touching me in order to sleep. Every time I walk around the house and he's free, he's coming behind me, following me all the time, all the time. This of course looks cute, but it's also a big burden for me and for him, because the moment I have to go out of the house, he starts crying, crying, crying. That's why the training with his playground is super important to me. And every time I have to work up here in my room, so he's going to be in a different room in order to be trained to be alone. And he's doing very well with that. He doesn't have separation anxiety. He will cry about 1 minute or 2 minutes, and then he's gonna start playing with his toys inside the playground. He's gonna have some fun, and all this is because, of course, he's trained to be like that. So spend time to train your dog. If you have a playground for him, if you have a crate for him, spend every day at least 10% of his food throwing it inside, so he goes inside on his own. And also all the foods of the day, all of his normal meals, he goes inside his playground, we close the door and he eats them in there. So he is making the connections in his brain that the playground is his place, and it's usually his food place and his toy place. Sometimes I will jump inside as well and we will play inside his playground with his toys. Or I will sit right outside, I will have one hand inside petting him, and I will watch a little bit of TV or scroll on my phone, so he has company inside his crate as well. Because every day, around 4 or 5 hours per day, I leave him inside alone, and he has to familiarize with his place and feel comfortable inside there, not like a prison. So try to spend the time and do the same. I never hit him. Don't hit your dog in order to teach him stuff. If you fail to teach him, it's always your fault. I feel like every time somebody spends money on a trainer and they get a trainer to train the dog, the trainer has to train them. The trainer comes to tell you how to communicate with the dog if you didn't figure it out, and what you are doing wrong if you're doing something wrong. Don't even raise your voice. You don't have to raise your voice with the dog, because he copies your energy, yeah? And if you start yelling at him, he will start being aggressive, because verbal attack is still an attack, yeah? So don't attack your dog, not even verbally. You have to be calm, deep voice, no, sit, blah, blah, blah. You say them once, and if he does them, then you praise him. If he doesn't, then you put him on a timeout, or you do some alternative thing. The ratio of yes and no, when you have to say in the whole day 30% of no's and 70% of praising. So that's it for today. That's an entry video for the first couple of weeks when you first get a small baby like Chukuro. Yeah, keep educating yourself. I watch a lot of videos on YouTube. I talk with other dog owners a lot as well. So these are the things you have to do, and you're gonna have a recipe for success, and you're gonna have a well-behaved, very cute and funny companion. See you on the next one, guys.